Okay, good morning. Welcome to Forex.Today, the YouTube community of almost 20,000 foreign exchange traders. We gather here today to conduct technical and fundamental analysis with the overriding goal to put together trade plans throughout this wonderful, beautiful CPI New York trading session. Let me remind you that trading is risky, not appropriate for everyone. Your past performance, good or bad, it's not necessarily indicative of future results, but please stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term, never risk money you cannot afford to lose. Guten Morgen. My name is Wayne. I will be your guide on this journey we call Forex today. Let me know how I can help. What do you want me to cover? Technical analysis, fundamental analysis, trader psychology. If you want to do like macroeconomics and stuff, that's cool. But if you want to do scalping, spot, swing, carry, position trading, that kind of stuff, all you need to do is ask. You're the boss. I am a humble servant. You've asked me over the years for various sources of help or resources for you to help yourself. So like, hey man, these live streams every day are great. But if you want to read my book, the link is in the description below. If you want free training videos, the link is in the description below. If you want access to premium training videos, things like macroeconomics, central banking policy, technical analysis, swing trading, okay, that kind of stuff, the link is in the description below. That's at fxbootcamp.com. $88 a year. A year. Yeah, a year. $88 a year. So give that a try. And of course, there's links to my chart templates. That's great. And we're updating them right now. And then what else? Hey, every single one of us needs to choose a broker. You have to have a broker to be a foreign exchange trader. There are many out there, and most are kind of the same. Yeah, they're mediocre execution speed. They probably don't pay you spread. Instead, they just charge you spread no matter if you're long or short and whatever. They promise you the cheapest. Yeah. If you want a broker that actually has fast execution speed, narrow spreads, doesn't slip you, actually pays you your swap, and so on and so forth, then Trader's Way has earned my loyalty and respect. The link is in the description below. And then I think you should open up a demo account, try yourself. And if they earn your loyalty and respect, now you have an execution partner that you can use for your successful Forex trading business. And I hope I can help you become a success. And then they're hoping you can become a client that will trade Forex for years and years and years and years and years and years and years. And the only way you can do that is that there's a symbiotic relationship. Their success as a broker will really rest upon your ability to become a success as a Forex trader. And I think that's great. That's a great business model to have. Tradersway.com. The link is in the description below. And let's start with taking a look at the calendar here. Okay. By the way, pretty reasonable numbers out of the UK, huh? Okay, right? Boom, boom, boom. That's great. Okay, pretty decent, huh? Pretty decent. Good, good. Going to today, we got CPI coming out this morning. So I gave you a poll. I popped a poll for you. And so please take a moment to answer the poll in the YouTube chat. So I just want to point out, you probably already know this. Did you pay attention to the Fed speeches yesterday? Yeah, it brought the stock market down because they were really sort of like, yeah, man, we want to raise fast and we want to raise high. And you're like, oh, wow. So everything needs to be repriced again. Remember, it's a simple equation. Do you guys remember the equation? I'll put it up here. The expected return for a stock, okay, is equal to the risk-free rate of return, which is changing every day. So that would be the yield on the 10-year T-note, plus the beta of the stock, okay, times the expected return for the market, okay, minus that risk-free rate of return, which is your opportunity cost that you could have got instead of taking the risk, okay? So when, for example, you could look at this like, if the Fed's going to raise interest rates up in the future, then the 10-year T-note needs to go up as well. Right? So you could use that. And so if this is going up, okay, and this is going up, which again, this is opportunity cost if you want to look at it that way. The expected return of the market and the beta of the stock, of the individual stock to the market. That's what this is all about. So that's why you need to know the beta. Okay. What does this say? Well, if we learned yesterday in the Fed speeches, if they think they're going to raise interest rates higher than we have priced, then what that means is the expected return, okay, for a stock, for some individual stock, is now fallen. That's it. So we adjust. It's just math. So the equation we're working out as a marketplace is what is the value of the stock market. Okay. And so that created yesterday, if you look at this, okay. And by the way, this is tradersway.com, which is really cool. It's right on their homepage, right at the top. You go here and you click on empty web and it just pops charts, right? Which is cool. And on the MT5 version, they have the S&P 500. So you just go to MT5. So anyway, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to highlight, come on now. Okay. That yesterday was a bit of a down day in the stock market, right? And I think it had to do with those speeches and repricing. But what I'm looking at now is this line. No. So I was thinking of buying some more stock. I was thinking about Nvidia. Anybody have opinion on Nvidia? Oh, James Paul says, does this equation does the formula have a name? Yes. That's the, let's see if I still have it there. No, it's the capital asset pricing model, otherwise known as CAPM. We can see if I got it right. CAPM formula. Expected return, what did they have? Capital asset expected return. Yeah, so anyways. Okay, so I had, mine was expected return of a particular stock is equal to the risk-free rate of return plus the beta times the expected return of the market minus the risk-free rate of return. Yeah, I got it. A student. Boom. Boom. Yeah, see how easy that is? And I don't actually believe in it, of course. That I think is something that your grandfather did when he bought Coca-Cola and AT&T stock. Back then, stocks and bonds were very similar. They traded in very similar ways. People didn't trade. It was difficult. I mean, you couldn't even get charts. So like people didn't trade. You just bought Coca-Cola and AT&T and you held it for for your entire life. And that makes more sense. And now we trade stocks and even trading bonds. I was listening to Bill Gross's interview recently, and he's like, yeah, when I first started trading bonds, there was only like 3 other people on Wall Street that actually bought and sold bonds versus just holding bonds to maturity. And it was like a new idea. And he said it was very inefficient and they made great money at it. So I thought that's interesting. Like even bond trading is only 25 years old. Pretty interesting, right? Johnny says Nvidia got hammered recently. Yeah, but that's why I'm thinking about it. So anyways, let's take a look at your CPI. I know I'm a bit all over the place, but there's so much to cover today. This week is just crazy with all the news. So anyway, so I'm looking at that, and I'm probably a buyer at this price. Excuse me. NASI's down even more. Okay. Mike's like, hey, man, I looked up the Cayenne Magnum Edition. A sick ride, must be love drive. I mean, taking my dad to the Masters was great, but there's just this memory I'll always had because, you know, he sees my ride and he's like, oh yeah, hot ride, same kind of thing, right? But he never really quite got it, right? He just thought I had big wheels or something and tinted windows. But when we rolled up to the Porsche guys that were to drive us all around the Masters, because my little VIP area was serviced by Porsche, which is great. And I roll up and there I have all those Porsches there, and all the Porsche guys went crazy. They went crazy. And I got all these compliments and stuff like that. So he said on the way back, which is the next part of the story, he's like, I really need to take another look at your car. I'm like, yeah, Dad, when I said there's 7 of them in the United States, yeah, that's a big deal. So anyways, thank you for that. So, look, all cars suck. I love cars. I'm a car guy. I've owned over 100 cars. They all suck. So, yeah, it looks awesome. It sucks. But really, it's my first Porsche, and I'm very pleased with how well the vehicle is built. That's all I can say. Very, very nice. Very well built. I'd definitely buy another Porsche. So anyways, all right, let's take a look at the poll here, and then we'll move on. We just got so much going on here. So what is your prediction for CPI today? 9 or above, 8 3/4, 8.5, 8 1/4 below. I think 8.4 is what's expected. So let's take a look. You got about 5 seconds if you want to vote. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom. You had your chance. Huh? You snooze, you lose. Especially as a Forex trader, huh? All right. So let's see. All right. Everyone thinks yeah. All right. No idea. Look at that. It's almost split 25 for everybody, huh? Isn't that funny? All right. So nobody knows. That's that. Good. Well, good to know. That's how the market is probably priced. Are you guys surprised that you might have been on a trade for the last 24 hours and haven't made money and haven't lost money? Yeah, that's probably why. That's explaining why. So we're waiting for this, right? So let's go back to the calendar. I know, just all over the place, right? Well, keep up with me. Come on. Okay. All right. So we had a lot of UK news. Great. So you might be on the pound. I'm on a pound dollar trade that hasn't done anything for 24 hours. So we got CPI. This is a big one that we're all waiting for, obviously. Trade balance and import-export data, all that from China is super fantastic. But, of course, the big shoe today in Asia is the RBA interest rate decision, okay? And then inflation out of the UK tomorrow, PPI. Did you guys catch PPI out of China last night? Super red hot. So China is in lockdowns and they have high inflation at the producer level, which means they're facing more inflation. Ideally, you'd raise interest rates in a situation like that, but they're in lockdowns and they're in their economy is slowing dramatically. So you're like high inflation, low growth, and then their products that they sell the rest of the world are getting more and more expensive. And you're, just a world of pain for China right now, right? Right? A world of worry, a wall of worry for China. So, hey, pay attention to all this kind of stuff. And then RBNZ coming out, then the UK, and then PPI here in the United States, and then Bank of Canada doing an interest rate decision, right? Aussie jobs report. Oh my God. And we're not even to Thursday yet. ECB interest rate decision. Gee whiz, right? Chinese GDP over the weekend. Oh my God. What a crazy, amazing week. So thank you for being part of the community. Well, I just noticed the chat is now printing on the live stream where yesterday it wasn't. Well, that's good to know. That's good. I guess I did something right. All right, so you guys excited about this week? Huh? I think it's a turning point. At least I wake up every morning and I pray to the Forex gods, like, please make this a turning week. Okay. Can't pop that open. Guess I have to do it that way. Yahoo Finance. Does anybody use Yahoo Finance? Probably not. All right, so it was a $330 stock. I can buy it for $200. Yeah. Yeah. See, if you go like out 5 days. 5 days ago, this was a $270 stock. So it's dropped $50 in 5 days. Yeah, bring it down to $2 and I might buy some. What do you think? We're more than $100 off the top. Okay? Which smells like what, 33% decline from the top? Yeah, that's about a 382, huh? Getting close. Yep. So if I can buy it around 200, I probably get a 382 fib retracement. No real dividend or anything. I suppose that makes sense. You know, I'm in one. I was just looking at my portfolio last night, and you know, 6 months or a year ago, I bought a bunch of REITs. If you remember, real estate prices were way down. You remember? And I'm like, I'm buying REITs. Isn't it weird? Real estate prices are way down, and now people are like, you can't buy a house because prices are too high. Well, biatch, you should have bought when it was low. So anyways, I bought a bunch of these REITs. I have one that does apartment buildings, one that does prisons, one that does commercial real estate. And anyways, I was looking at one of them, and it's paying me a 4.2% dividend yield. Criminy. Back when inflation was 0 and bonds were like, you know, a 10-year treasury was less than 1%. So anyways, I just noticed it. I'm like, holy smokes, that's actually pretty good. Over 4% yield. Nice. I'm like, right? So I was happy with that because it doesn't get calculated until you're actually collecting your yield, right? Collecting dividend payments. And so it's been long enough now where I've collected a few, and then it's, you know, they're calculating out the annual yield on that. I'm like, nice. All right, Jimmy says, what would cause USD to weaken if U.S. inflation is high? That we peak. Remember, like the idea of a peak, let's say, is we have up, and that's what exists now. But we need to think about the future because we're trying to make decisions a few weeks in advance, right? Sometimes a few months in advance. So it's like, at what point have you identified this? Okay. Matrix says 22% is better. Yeah, well, where did you get 22%? What are you staking? Right? Are you staking a crypto? Coinbase wants me to stake ADA and pay like 3%, but I'm like, man, I can own a REIT. I can own an apartment building and it'll pay me 4%. And I actually own an apartment building versus owning, I don't know what Cardano is. But I can go visit my apartment buildings, right? I kind of like that idea. Like, Wayne, do you own any real estate? Yeah, you know, I do. I own 7,000 apartment buildings across the United States. Kind of like that. Buying up some JP Morgan. Yeah. What was it? There was another. I know why. The other reason I'm interested in Nvidia. How about this? Now, don't tell anybody. Shh. This is just me thinking. So, Nvidia. So this is what I was doing in my meditation this morning. Nvidia, which I like, by the way. They make, even 20 years ago, Nvidia made the best gaming cards. If you wanted to have a gaming computer, you'd buy or a gaming machine, you want an Nvidia graphics card. That's where they started, and they've always been the best. So it's kind of like buying Nike because you like Nike shoes. Okay, if you build gaming computers or you like the game, you like Nvidia 20 years ago. So now then, obviously, it did really well making GPUs. They're used in mining and all that kind of stuff. And the stock really took off. And great. It's a great company, all that kind of stuff. All right. So now it's benefited from the rush to crypto, but crypto has come way down. So that brings down the stock price. Inflation has gone up and interest rates are likely to go up, and stocks like this come down because of the capital asset pricing model, which I showed you. So at some point when interest rates peak, and of course that could be a while, but once they peak, that pricing model will reverse and say, we can price up the stock now. So right now the math is bringing the value of the price of the stock, not the value of the company, because that's independent, right? The price of the stock is coming down because the math says it should. Well, hey, maybe in 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 years, it'll be different. The CapM will be pricing this back up. So anyway, so you got that coming down. It's down 33%. I'm looking for a deal. I don't like cheap. I hate cheap. Cheap is dumb. Cheap is stupid. Okay? I like value. I'm trying to find intrinsic value. I want to find good companies that are mispriced or good companies at a deal. And so I've been buying various things. Now I'm thinking about this one. So it's a great company in a great market. I don't think crypto's going to go away and all that kind of stuff and yada, yada, yada. So great. But I'm not thinking 3 months. I'm thinking 15 years. Do I want to buy this company? I got to think like Warren Buffett, right? Is this a good company I can get a deal on? And I don't think he even cares about price, right? So I am price sensitive. So I'm like, okay, it's come down. I understand why it was overvalued so much, because everyone was pricing this company based on money being free forever, which is dumb. But hey, this is a beginning. It's got my interest. Okay. In a week and a half, Congress is coming back, okay, from recess, and the Democrats are desperate to do something to get votes. So Biden's going to speak today and say that they want to add ethanol to fuel prices, or to fuel, to lower the price per gallon by a whopping 5 cents. Okay? But then what does that do to corn? Like it's such a strange thing, like to announce a new program. You're like, dude, prices are up $1.50, $2, $3. Like, what kind of solution? Let's put some more ethanol in and you can save a nickel. Like, who cares? It doesn't solve the problems. It's like a trick. But then that's going to jack up prices in corn. So it's like, dude, you can't just, I mean, it's dumb. It's a dumb idea. It's stupid. It's political, but they're going to announce that, whatever. But you can see the level of desperation. And I don't mean that politically. If someone else did that, I'd say the same thing. Like, it's a dog and pony show, but it doesn't do anything. Nobody cares about saving a nickel. But food prices are already way high, so it's a dumb idea to take expensive corn and then add it to the gas. And like, dude, then what? Right? So anyways, when Congress gets back, the Democrats need a win because we're getting closer and closer to elections. And one of the things they're going to push through is this supply chain bill. I forget what they call it, though. There's some fancy infrastructure name to this. But part of it, I think, is going to be focused on supporting American semiconductors. So maybe I buy this at 33% discount or a 382. Let's say I pick this up at a 382 off the top. And 1 month from now or 2 months from now, Congress, right before they take a summer break, they pass this infrastructure bill to support American semiconductors and the supply chain. And pa-chow! Okay? Pa-chow, Nvidia to the rescue, because that's the biggest and the best. Okay. Yeah. So I can see you guys in the chat. You're like, hey, to get prices down, you need to increase supply. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, there's no dog and pony show that's needed. Okay? So you have to increase supply. Okay? This is quantity. This is price. Okay? So you need to shift supply up from equilibrium 1 to equilibrium 2. So you increase supply, which lowers price from P1 to P2. Prices fall. So how do you do that? Okay? You appeal to the Democrat Party, because you're a Democrat president, and you say, hey, I understand everyone's concerns. I'm not making a blind decision here. I love the environment, and the environment needs to be protected. However, right now, Americans are starving. The economy is on the brink of another recession, and we do not want to lose more jobs after recovering from COVID. So I, as President of the United States, am putting a moratorium on environmental protection and other regulatory constraints to the oil and gas industry in the United States for the next let's say 1 year. For the next 1 year, we are going to lower these standards so that the American energy industry can provide a global solution. We want to be a leader in getting inflation down, not just for the United States of America, but for all our friends and allies. And this is a strategic plan, right, of American leadership for peace and stability in our world. Bravo! Bravissimo! That's what I would do if I were me. Okay? If I was president, I'd be living fat. If it was up to me, I'd paint the White House black. Yeah. All right. 8.5? Good. We got a number here. 8.5. Yeah. Consumer prices, month over month, 1.2. Okay, don't forget about core. So a little bit higher, 8.5 versus 8.4. I got logged out. Shoot. You need the MT5 version. Okay. Look at that. Making money in the stock market. Hoorah! Okay. Cool. Now, what you also want to look is you want to look at core to remove the volatility of oil and the higher, prices. I mean, you still want to look at that because we also want to look at like 70%. Okay. 70% of America is service related. So you also want to look at that like yeah, there's different ways you want to look at inflation. So anyways, a positive reaction. Okay, and then, everything kind of petered out and stopped. Made us like a beautiful speech. Yeah, politicians are funny. Like, I'm an economist and a businessman, so I have a very clear point of view of what I would do. But I could also see politicians walking around like, we need to do something. Like, what should we do? Something. I don't, anything. Well, why don't we do some ethanol in the gas? I just find it so silly. Like, okay, so you're going to push up corn prices, but like just weird things like, so where you want prices to go down? Okay, great. So what are you going to do? Well, we can cut the gas with some ethanol. I get that, but where do you get ethanol? Oh, you get it from corn. Well, corn prices are 100% higher than usual. So where are you going to get cheap ethanol? Oh, we're going to pay way too much for the ethanol and then pour that into the gas. Yeah, but aren't fuel prices already coming down? Like, at some point, like, oil has already dropped by 33%, right? Like, and I don't think corn has. So anyways, anywho, I think it's funny. It's not very good thinking. I'm not a big fan of the STR as well. SPR, Strategic Petroleum Reserve tapping. Once again, I think it's a dog and pony show. It doesn't solve any problem. Okay, prices come down for 3 or 4 or 5 days. And then what? Now you don't have any oil in your SPR, so then prices go back up again. Like, it doesn't solve anything. But what happens is, and politicians do it, and all politicians will do it in a situation. So again, I'm not picking on Biden. But when you do that, it doesn't solve anything. But what it does is you can see the politicians standing around like, oh my God, we got to do something. We're polling really low. What do we got? We got to do something, anything, just to show we're doing something. And just that attitude just drives me nuts. Like, we need to do something just to show we're doing something. Well, businesses don't work that way. You know what? Businesses have to compete. You have to have better products at lower prices with better customer service and more attractive people. And better buildings and better pay and better retirement benefits and better vacation. Like, it's all about competing on every level. You treat your customers better. You make better products. You treat your employees better. Capitalism is fantastically, beautifully wonderful. Okay? So anyways, I probably missed out. NASDAQ is up 1.33. The initial reaction is come and gone as far as the currency market. So I'm watching Bitcoin. I bought some Bitcoin not long ago. I'm in basically here. Okay, so I'm watching that. So that's all good. The stock market's going up, so that's good. I own a bunch of that. Let's go over and take a look at, let's do dollar pairs first because of the news. And it seems like the dollar weakness is just come and gone. Zip-a-doo. So let's try to explain why. I want to look at all these on the 1 hour, not the 4 hour, because that's what I want. Okay, and in many of these you'll see we are kicking off 4 hours, but I want to get a little more sensitive. And so like euro dollar, how come this hasn't gone up? Well, we're just forming a double bottom. We're still below the hourly 21. So it's not ready to go up yet. I mean, it might go up. It's just that chart says not yet. Okay. The initial response was maybe up. Meta says maybe Trump was a bad politician because he was a smart businessman. Yeah, I think he was. Again, my study of game theory was he did a lot of his. Now, a lot of people disagree with this, but if you study game theory, you see that he at least gets instinctively. I don't think he studied it, although he's a Wharton boy. So maybe he did study it, but he does play it out well. But he was also a nutcase in many other situations, right? And that was his doom. He ruffled a lot of people's feathers, with his, more businessman-like politics. But then he was also, some of the stuff he did was nutty. And so that's that. That's that. Let's just say he had a personality. Yeah. But I guess that's what happens when you're extreme. A lot of people are extreme. And to get into politics, you have to be extreme. Lucas says, they're stuck in the corner with their green ideas. Yeah, I get that. Like, we need to do something now. We need a solution now, but it has to be green. Yeah, but again, it doesn't make sense to take corn that's at an all-time high and say, you know what we need to do? We need the government to come in and buy huge quantities of corn and convert that into ethanol. Well, you're like, dude, you're going to come into a market that's already up 100% over normal, and you're going to come in as the biggest buyer on the planet and then compete with everyone that needs the corn to buy that corn, regardless of price. Like, you don't even care what the price is, so you're going to drive it up 300-400%. Well, so now you just you save a nickel on gasoline, and then you're paying now like corn is used for feed. It's used for, it's just, oh my God. So it creates a bigger problem somewhere else. The government should stay the F out is the real idea. So like my solution is to say to the energy industry, the government's going to back away and let you do you for 1 year, but don't F it up. If we find your break, if you're doing egregious stuff, we will shut your shot down, but follow the guidelines, right? Like you can't just frack and then pump all your crap out into a field, right? Like you still need to do it, right? So like you can't be egregious, but like, dude, go. Just go. We need oil, we need gas, we need nat gas, all that kind of stuff. Go. Just get her done. Let's do it. Okay? Okay. All right. So look, Euro trying to wake up. That's good. Good. That's a good initial move off that bottom. Aussie started moving last night off the entry. Okay. This is one of my hopeful lines in the sand that we were covering in the day trading group, because I have set this, I have this chart set for bullish, right? And this came down. This was a plausible entry, but I wasn't around that day and I had bought down here. So anyways, so I didn't buy that. Came down. Once you get this, there's no buy, no buy, no buy. But what's the hope? Well, when we started this month, this is one of two prices that I'm interested in buying. So now we get some up, which is great. So maybe game on this way. Okay. Any idiot can become a smart businessman when you're willing to steal and cut corners. Okay, obviously opinionated. I'm not saying he didn't do those things, but that's a very generalized question. And okay, whatever. Okay, whatever. Often when I get hit with statements like that, it's whatever. I'm not here to knock you down. I think it's just okay. Let's say it this way. My close friends, some of them will say things like that, and I'm like, have you ever read his book, which goes through his, and this was written in the 80s, I think, and it goes through his life story, but it also goes through his day-by-day calendar. At 8 o'clock in the morning on this day, he met with this person. At 11 o'clock, he talked to this person on the phone. You just go through it. And the first half of the book is a good read. It's a quick read. It's an easy read. The second one focuses more on his buying Eastern Airlines and trying to create a competitor for the NFL. And I stopped there. But you get to know who he is and what kind of person he is. For example, he doesn't eat lunch out because he finds it's for boring, average executives that just want to waste time and spend money at fancy restaurants, $1,000 bottles of wine, and maybe do a little bit of business. Where he's like, I don't have time for that nonsense. So Trump sits at his desk and eats a sandwich because he'd rather not waste his time. Okay? So there's stuff like that where you can say Trump made his money because he's a criminal, he's an idiot, his dad was rich and gave him everything, and this, that, and the other thing. And a lot of that's true, but a lot of it's not true. It's very vaguely one side, right? So I'm not a pro-Trump guy. I'm just like, I'm very sensitive to extreme this and extreme that, right? Someone told me the other day about Ketanji Brown Jackson, I think that's her name, right? She used to sit on the Harvard Board of Overseers, or she's currently on the Harvard Board of Overseers, and she's being replaced because she's now going to the Supreme Court. And somebody told me that she's an extreme left radical who supports incest. And I'm like, what did you just say? You're telling me this person with a Harvard degree and committed to her life to the rule of law is supportive of incest? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, where does this come from? You're like, are you kidding me? Somebody that educated is like, yeah, I'm all for incest. Well, they let those criminals out. I'm like, dude, you follow the rule of law. Yes, she will be opinionated, and yes, she'll have her point of view, and yes, Harvard is a liberal arts school, but Harvard doesn't sit around like, how can we pump out radical liberals? But then you hit the other side too. On the other side, then you get extreme rightism, and I'm like, that's the part that I have a problem with. That's the extreme one-sidedness. I'm like, wow, really interesting. I'm just like, so anyways, we'll get out of that. Yeah, we'll get out of that. But I'm just saying, look, I'm sure, she's a very smart, intelligent woman. Right. So anyways, cool. So look, this is all good. This is all good, man. I'm so happy. This is good. Everything is working now. Love it. Okay. Take a look at our yen-yens. Hang on. This is a whole separate market now. Yeah. More inflation here. Okay, yeah, too bad. I got to watch this top. Not quite there yet. Watch this top. I got to go to a 4-hour. Not quite there yet. Okay. Not necessarily the direction I want it to go. But the dollar pair is moving great. Kiwi is doing great. Remember, we got interest rate decisions coming. Yen seems to be just sort of moderate to slightly weak. US dollar is definitely weak. I got to check my biddy. Put that on a 15. All right. Yeah, it's okay. Okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's not sticking, but okay. So right now, yeah, I'm happy. Everything's right. No, burned. High education doesn't mean they can't be criminals or perverts. That's not what I said. But I would be, I bet you could walk and talk to any professor and any Harvard student, right, on campus. You can go to the law school, talk to anybody you want, and ask them, what do you think about incest? I don't think you can say anyone would be for that. So I'm just saying that comment that was just so crazy. That I'm like, what are you talking about? Right? Like that. Nobody. Well, she let them off. No, she's a judge and she follows the rule of law, which is, but I can see, I don't know, let me pick on Fox. I could see Fox saying, well, she lets, criminals and drug dealers and rapists out on the street. Well, yeah, all judges do that because if the law isn't followed properly, they throw the case out or whatever, the lawyers did a bad job or it wasn't true but it would be pretty extreme to say like, oh yeah, well, she wants to free drug dealers and rapists. Like, no, I don't think she's sitting around, and I'm pretty sure Harvard Law School doesn't say, we need to work together as a radical liberal school to let drug dealers out on the street. Nope, pretty sure that doesn't happen. I've been into the law school and it doesn't come across as that kind of place. My experience, my first time at Harvard Law School, walking through the halls and seeing the people that are there, was that these people are incredibly smart. That's your take. You're like, yeah, this place is awesome, right? Right, Bird. Right. But so that's that. So I don't want to beat that anymore. It's just I'm going to end with this. I don't like the extreme comments. I don't watch the news because of it, because I can't get good data. I do not get good data from the media. Let me say it again. I do not get good data from the media. So I only look at the reports. I'm an economist, okay? I'm a professional economist with an economics degree. So I download the data from the websites, whether it's a central bank or a government agency releasing economic data. That's where I get my information. Okay? And that's that. And when I see someone on the Harvard Board of Overseers, do you know who else is on there? Like Mark Carney. He was the finance minister of Canada, right? Ran the Bank of Canada and then ran the Bank of England. He's a Harvard boy, by the way, because they're all Harvard people. That's why they're on the Harvard Board of Overseers. And I don't think he's radical left, is he? Who else? The chief lawyer for Google. Yeah, went to Harvard Law School. Of course he went to Harvard Law School. He's on the Board of Overseer, right? Ketanji Brown Jackson is probably not a nutcase, right? There's so many other people, you might not know their names, but they're really smart, talented, educated people. Half the time they graduated from Harvard at the top of their class. So you're like, dude, these are not nutcases. So anyway, so be careful with the extreme posts of, that's all. All right. So a little action on gold. Gold is at the top of the range. We'll see what's happening now. This is technically important. Remember, the projected top is 2,100. Okay, that's only going from the model that suggests this price takes us up to 2,100. Okay, it's just a model. So the Harvard guys have more accessible information than, yes and no. Like, I don't get like secret backstage passes because I'm a Harvard guy, but I kind of do. So like, when I checked into the Penn Club 2 weeks ago, okay, the University of Pennsylvania, right? So I stayed at their club on West 44th Street, and that day, members of the Penn Club, let's say probably 25 or 30 people. It's a small club. I bet you it was smaller than that. I bet you it was 12 people. Sat down with the head of the Federal Reserve of Philadelphia, the Philly Fed. The chief of the Philly Fed sat down. I wasn't there, but it was that morning for coffee with probably 12 to 20 members of the Penn Club in New York City. Now, imagine you got to sit down with a president of a Fed bank and you just simply had coffee and asked questions for 2 hours. And you got to know them. Maybe you developed a friendship. Maybe you start golfing with the head of the Philly Fed. Do you have access to inside information? Well, that's not even the Harvard Club. That's the Penn Club. Well, obviously, Penn and Philadelphia being in Pennsylvania. Anyways, cool, right? Like, so do you have inside access? Yeah, you can. Okay. Burton says the education system in the U.S. sucks. It costs too much, and if you live in a poor area, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, well, you can pick 5 different schools at 5 different levels. So Harvard, we'll say University of Georgia. Let's say Santa Barbara, which is a Santa Barbara, which is a UC school. So UC Santa Barbara, University of California at Santa Barbara. And let's do Purdue. Purdue, the Boilermakers. Let's throw it. Let's do another one. University of Wisconsin. I like that school. I've been there multiple times. Wisconsin. So UW. And then throw in, well, we did a West Coast. So, okay, yeah, this is sort of East. This is sort of Central. This is Ivy League and University of Georgia. South. Okay, we got a bunch of different schools here. You know what? They all cost about the same. Now, you can rank all of these in which order you would like to go. Okay? None of these schools are bad, but they're definitely ranked different. Okay? But they're all about the same. You'd think like Harvard would be twice as much. No. Okay? And by the way, Harvard, every year they announce a different price level. I forget what the price level is this year, but I think if you're accepted at Harvard and your family makes less than $75,000 a year, Harvard doesn't even charge you. Just come on in. Just move in. You're going to be in Wigglesworth. Okay? Your freshman year in the old yard. Okay? They don't even charge you. It's just free. You're from a tough neighborhood. Both your parents are working and they're poor. Don't worry about it. You're smart. We want to take you. Okay. But let's say they're all 40 or 50K. So let's just say they're all about, on average, 45,000. Doesn't matter if you want to go to Santa Barbara or Wisconsin or Harvard. Now, if you were born and raised in Georgia and you're a 4.0 student, they have various grants that will knock this down very, very significantly. But we're just talking head to head here. If you were anywhere in the United States and you were choosing where to go, money is not the problem. They're all about the same. If you can't afford that, then you go to lower tier schools. Right? You don't go to UC, you go to San Jose State University, which is a lower end school, or you go to Georgia State, which is a lower end school. You don't go to Purdue, you go to Ohio State University. Okay, half the people in the United States went to OSU. Right? You just go to lower end schools, and they're 30,000 instead of 50,000. But so right. Okay. But, okay, America's the type of place where, honestly, that stuff is really good, but you can just become independently wealthy without all of that. So if you're in America, right, no problem. No, people will judge you. Oh, you don't have a college degree? But, okay. I went to school in the 90s and found myself at about 21 years of age sitting on a board of directors with George Soros running a company of 3,000 people. So I dropped out of college. I was also living in the Silicon Valley. So I'm like, now that I know how to run a company, right? 3,000 people is a pretty legit sized company, right? And I'm on the board of directors, so I'm learning about all these different things. I had mentored and I had leaders that had mentored and groomed me. And for a 21-year-old, I saw more than most people see. Even successful business people didn't have that kind of experience until they were 50 or 60 years old. And here I am at 21 and I already know how to do all this stuff. Psh. So I went straight into the Silicon Valley, kicked ass, made my way in the world. Great. America's like that. You can do that in America. I couldn't do that in rural Canada. Right? Yeah, Noob Trader says, and if you're poor and you can't afford that, you can get a degree online for it's so cheap. Education is so cheap. Okay? America is a great country for entrepreneurs. There's no doubt about it. But, I've seen, as a venture capitalist, I've seen a million times. I mean, they're so screened out anyways, but you still come across it where people have generally good ideas for startups and they're trying, but they just don't know. They don't know how to put a business plan together. They don't have any idea about, marketing and growth strategies. They can't even put together a spreadsheet. And you're like, dude, you're smart, but you're uneducated. And so those guys are usually filtered out, but in the beginning, you're the person doing the filtering. And you just look at, 90 out of 100 business plans are just like, dude, you just don't know what you're doing. So that's where education does come in. And then the other 10, you get out there and you're like, nah, not good enough, right? Most, less than 1% obviously get funded, but But like noob traders, like everything's on YouTube. You can become an expert in programming. You can become an expert in Excel and learning business and business strategies. You can become an absolute total expert. There's no excuse now. You might not have a formal education. You might not have a degree on the wall. But like me in the 90s, I didn't have a degree on the wall, but I knew how to run businesses and write business plans and manage multiple teams, right? And so very early on, by the time I was 25, I found a company of, 5 or 6 people that was on the brink of bankruptcy. And 2 years later, I had hired 300 or 400 people, developing multiple departments throughout the business, taking the company to hugely profitable levels, and we had no investment. No venture capitalists, no bullshit money. We didn't even advertise until later, right? It was crazy. It was so awesome. And how could a 25-year-old do it? Because I heard he'd done it before. It was like easy because I had the experience. That's pretty rare. The other way of doing it is get a formal education and then get mentored. But you can't just do that with no education or no experience. So you got to either get the experience, which is usually a weird thing to get first, but I was groomed and mentored, or you get the education and then you put in the years. Okay. And by the way, that company that I'm specifically talking about, I used their service a couple of months ago. I talked to a client and he's super fantastically happy with the service, the company I built. I was like the number 3 or 4 hire, right? Created like 7 departments, opened offices in 3 or 4 different cities. And even the person I hired to replace me is fantastically successful. Now he left the company to do big things, but he's fantastically successful. He's done like 2 or 3 TED Talks. He hangs out on Nectar Island with Branson, right? And he's the guy that replaced me at that job. So anyways, you got to have the experience or you got to have the education. And if you need to get the education free on the internet, you can get it. There's no excuse. Okay, so generally the dollar weakness is sticking. There's a bit of a hesitation. I'm looking at the index right now. Gold is going up with the dollar weakness. That's great, and that's a technical bust out, which I really like. Bitcoin's still just inking away a little bit up, which is great. I'm hoping, I'd like that to go up another, I don't know, even $1,500 if I can be so bold. Let's take a look at the dollar pairs again. Okay, up is what I want. Okay, this one I want down. Okay, I'm not trading that one, but that's just there for reference. So everything golden. Again, we got to watch this one for later tonight. Let me switch this up here. Later tonight in the Asia session, by the way, if you're in my day trading group, we'll get prepared for that. but they're going to raise interest rates. So my first thought process, I don't know if that's the high, but the thought process, no matter if that's a high or if we go higher, the general idea here is this. Okay. And I'm looking at role reversal. I'm looking at this, and this isn't set yet. Like if this went a little higher, then it's going to pull this up, and that changes this pullback. But using price action, I'm definitely eyeballing this area. It's a big zone. It's not a particular price. It's a area of price. So that's standard. That's static, if you will. That's support no matter what happens. Now the dynamic level of support, one of them comes from tomorrow's central pivot point, and that currently is here. But if we make a higher high, it goes up a little higher, and that's what I mean. So then the top, that could be a move like this, or still back down into here, because that would be an M2. This would be a CPP. The other dynamic is you want to watch the moving average here. In particular, the 21 will probably do something like this later today. And because of it's lagging, this is probably going to do that. And so by tomorrow, we'll probably look at this market and see that there is a 2155 cross, which dictates at some point there's a retracement into this area and up, which is probably where that future central pivot will be. And that's probably closer to this role reversal, but not necessarily. So this is, I'm all thinking about tomorrow now. Okay. Because, you know, the conversations I've been having with the day trading group is like, I'm waiting. This is heading down. Yeah, I'm waiting. Why am I waiting? Because I want it to go up. Okay. We were saying it could be tomorrow, could be the big day based on earnings season, which we talked about even Sunday and even last week in the live trading groups, right? So we're thinking a week and even 2 weeks in advance, even for day trading. And here it is, just right on time. This could be great. So now the next big worry is, imagine this not on a 1 hour, but a 4 hour. Okay. And on this time frame, someone's thinking this. Let me change the sizes here to make a point. Somebody is thinking this, and this, which is some sort of Fibonacci retracement on the higher time frame, right? And that's why you get double bottoms and stuff like that. So on a 4H or on a daily, this up only gets you into the fib, and then there's down. But then if that fails to make a lower low, then you have a double bottom on the higher high, which then leads you back to a 15-minute chart where you're now buying higher highs and higher lows, preparing for that dip to actually turn into a reversal. And that's the challenge with multiple time frame analysis, is that your double bottom is just a tiny little candle to someone else on a higher time frame, and they also want a double bottom, but that creates a double bottom of a double bottom for you. Noob Trader says, so when inflation is high, the dollar weakens. Well, that's in a scenario where we are now. That's a complicated question, because if inflation is too high, that kills the economy, and then the dollar gets strong. So you can interpret what happened today, where people were worried that we were going to be over 9. Because remember, 25% of people that answered our poll today thought we'd be over 9. So 8.5, 8, 9, not even close to 9. So people are like, oh, thank God. So it could be a relief rally for some. But yes, what does inflation mean? It costs you more dollars to buy what you used to be able to buy for less dollars. So your dollar is worth less. Okay? Or you can look at it a different way. The federal government, not the federal bank, the federal government, the White House, Congress, the Senate, added $5 trillion to the economy through debt, by the way. They added $5 trillion to the economy when the federal bank, also add $5 trillion, because that's what the Fed is supposed to do. So the Fed did what the Fed would do. It cut interest rates. It did quantitative easing. Great. Then the government came in and added $5 trillion that, well, what we can now see through evidence is that most of that $5 trillion was completely unnecessary. And now we can't retract it. So there's just too much money. And so you can say, well, the prices are high. You're like, no, the prices aren't high. The money is bullshit. Pardon my French. That free money is worthless. You have to understand, the free money is worthless. So when you add worthless money to productive money, it destroys the productive money. Okay? Yeah, right on, Raymond. Yeah, the next one is, JP Morgan, right? So when the supply of money has gone up, the value of that money has gone down. So that's why the dollar can be weak. Okay. But then there's too much, and we have too much inflation. So very often that can create the dollar strength. Now, if we go all the way back from November, and I'm just going to go from memory, you can pick on something like euro dollar or something. I don't know. Pick a currency. Dollar got strong when we got hit by Omicron in middle of November. And we were worried about another shutdown because all of a sudden, like, Delta was bad, but this is even worse. This could shut everything down. It's way more contagious. So the economy tanked and the dollar got strong until I think it was December 23rd, if I remember right. Then all of a sudden we got this huge rally right at the end, but it was very late in the year and very thin markets, and it was really too bad. And so Omicron really destroyed all that, and the dollar was strong. Why? Well, because that's a risk-off event. Omicron and the potential for shutting down the entire economy is just not good. So when things were horrifically bad, the dollar got strong. Then you say, well, what about January, Wayne? The dollar was strong and we started to learn like things were not so bad. Yeah, things weren't so bad, but the dollar always gets strong, in my opinion. Let's say based on seasonality, that's what's supposed to happen. Great, fine, good, great, cool. Then what? There was supposed to be, somewhat of a recovery now. Now we got war. Gee, criminy, right? And even higher inflation because of war and shortages of stuff because of COVID-related supply chain. But now we got war-related supply chain, and all that's just bad. And you might have read the WTO report. Did you guys read it? How many people here? Let's do it this way. I'm going to do a poll. Did you read the WTO report today? I just want to see who's on board. I just popped a quiz. Please be honest. Please vote. Please poll. Be honest. Nobody knows who you are, what you said. Nobody's going to laugh at you. Okay, we'll end it. Thank you for your honesty. Okay, things like world merchandise trade volume is expected to grow 3%, down from 4.7. World GDP, okay, expected to grow only 2.8%. Okay, it was at 5.7, now it's only 2.8. 50% decline. Okay. Okay. So, right? Okay. So very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. All right. Let's see. Pound dollar coming down. Kiwi dollar coming down, which we're looking at. So are you going to buy it? I don't know. Aussie dollar coming down. USD CAD going up. Euro dollar. So everything's working. These are all pullbacks. So I'm sure now that I've covered it about 15 times, have you made a decision of what you're going to do? Do you have your prices lined up? Okay. Do you have this? Are you guesstimating ahead? Okay. Are you looking at the 15-minute 21? The 5-minute 21? Okay. What are you going to do? You're going to ride the 5? Look, if you haven't made a decision now, you ain't going to do it. You're going to wait, and then you're going to catch it after it's already moved, and you'll be out of position by definition. Okay. Okay, stock market's not even open yet. I think the biggest pullback is on euro dollar. Okay. Neat. Okay. Find your line. Okay. Okay, bulls, you're on your bullish line. You should really understand this. Okay. Bulls are on their bullish line. That's why we're stopping here. And bears are planning on this. Now, we're in this dangerous spot where, technically this is bullish. Technically, you would buy this. But we just had a fundamental data point. But this is just a bullish entry. You see? Just a plain old role reversal for a bull. So is it possible that this comes all the way back around and then make higher highs today? Oh, for sure. Yeah, oh, for sure. Okay. So by now, you're already in your short trade if you're a bear, well after the news, right? And now you're looking at fib retracements. You probably have your stop up here, and you're thinking up, lower high, lower low, and then that. Okay, that's what a bear is thinking. And a bull probably planned this one out yesterday. Okay, put one here, higher high. Okay, what does a bull do? Buys a higher low. It's not complicated. Look at the old role reversal. La, 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 la. And so a bull is probably in somewhere around here. Bears are in probably somewhere around here. And now one of them is going to make money and the other one's going to lose money. ECB is meeting. Yeah. So we have RBNZ. Okay. We have Bank of Canada. We have ECB. I think we have Central Bank of Korea. I think we have the Central Bank of Israel. I think we have the Central Bank of Turkey. I'm missing another major. I know we have a lot of UK data this week, but I don't think this is central bank. I'm missing one. RBNZ, that's this one. So, yeah, we got a lot going on. Yeah. So, a lot of cool stuff. Cool. So since I already know what I want to do, since I already knew what I wanted to do yesterday, since I already knew what I wanted to do the day before, I'm in a procedure of I want to buy dips here. And I understand that this could just be a shorter term reaction to the high volatility news. And it comes all the way back down and I'll probably break even on those or take some small losses. But I know what I intend to do. All that kind of stuff. I have a couple of trades on, benefited from that. I'm going to put some more on, try to get something running. And it sure helps when you've made a decision well before the news. I'm also thinking about earnings tomorrow, in particular JP Morgan, as being a catalyst for the entire market. I'm thinking about Nvidia, like I said, because in 2 or 3 months, I think we're going to get a government bill that's going to push that stock up, and it's already at a 382 discount. So maybe the price is right, followed up by a catalyst. Okay, that might be smart. I got seasonality behind what I think might happen. You know, it's all about thinking ahead and being prepared. Okay, if you walk into trading, and of course you just sit down in your home, maybe you're at your kitchen, maybe you're in your home office, and you open up a laptop, and if you open your charts first and you're like, hey, what's going on, fellas? What are we trading? You've already lost money and you've already thrown away a fabulous career. If that's how you trade, you're walking into an arena of hundreds of thousands of traders around the world, and you're one of the most ill-informed market participants. You're as close to guaranteed to lose money as possible because you're walking into an arena full of professionals that have already done their research and have already made their opinions and are looking for particular trade setups. They're not looking for a reason to trade. So I want you to think about that. When you log in and sit down at your kitchen table with your laptop looking for a trade, there's a professional trader in Malaysia that's going to whip your butt. They're bigger, they're smarter, they have more money, they're more prepared, they have strategic and tactical plans in place, and you're showing up and you want to compete. Good luck, my friend. You're going to be destroyed. Okay, there's a key part in my book, and it might even, right? It might even be in the first chapter. It's a quote from The Art of War. An honorable general wins because many plans were made. You win by preparing, is what Sun Tzu said. You not reacting, not being emotional, but through preparation. An honorable general wins because many plans were made. So I want you to think about your strategy first. How much planning are you putting in? How much time do you plan? I must plan 95% of what I do in Forex is planning, and very little of it is actually pulling the trigger and moving stops. But if you are mostly just popping trades, pop, trade, yeah, you're not going to make it. Yeah, you're not going to make it. Okay. You are providing liquidity. Okay. So, I hope that was inspiring and uplifting. And I will leave you with that thought because the markets are opening. Papa's got to go to work. I got some meetings later today as well. Busy. Okay, so peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May your profits be above average. And thank you for being on my team. I appreciate you. Cheers.